This is a review of the Holy Bible in NIV 1984 with cross-references and maps by Hodder and Stoughton from the UK. So this is an anglicized text. This is a paste-down liner, not edge-lined. The leather is stiff, but it doesn't feel like bonded leather to me. It could be, but I'm not sure. It's got nice end sheets here. Let's see here. This is the NIV 1984 Popular Cross-Reference Edition, published in the UK, originally in 1982. And I think they updated it at a later point as well. I also have a similar edition here. This is the bold print edition. And I'll show you some of the difference. This one says, this impression 1998. I think they are printed in the same location. Printed in Great Britain for Hodder Stoughton. Mill Road. Oh, not quite the same place, but close. St. Ives Place. Clay Limited. I wonder if that's the same place and they just changed the name or something. That's interesting. I'll get back to that Bible in just a moment, but for now, this one, I love the typesetting on this. It is nice, big, and bold. The equivalent is probably the ESV cross-reference Bible. It's a little bit wider, the NIV is, than the ESV. Of course, this is just the hardback, but they're the same page size pretty much. There's a little bit of height difference, ESV being taller, but you'll notice the typeface on the ESV is pretty small, not horribly small, but yeah, I like this typeface. It's a real nice typeface, but this one is just really big. It's almost bold print. Let's see how big the font is. If I had to guess, it's a 9 or maybe 9.5 font on this. I think, if I remember correctly, it's an Olympia font or something like that. I think I saw that somewhere in here. Typeset with Olympia font, but man, I could have made that up. It does not have any it does not have any concordance at the back, though it does have the maps and an index to the maps and a table and weight and measures. I think pretty much every Bible has the table and weights and measures. I like the dotted line that's right here, in which it's not super bold. Like this ESV has nothing, but some of them have big long lines, kind of like this. Actually, you know what? I think, yes, this is the ESV Pit Minion by Cambridge, and it's got a big old line. It's not my favorite. I either like nothing, like the ESV here, or the NIV's nice not noticeable dotted line. I also like how the typesetting has the footnotes are there, but they're really small. You have the really skinny letters. Let's see if I can show you there. Really skinny letters and italicized for the cross-references, but then you have a darker letter there for the footnotes. So you'll go down there, F. Some manuscripts don't have that particular phrase. It is almost 9 of the footprint. Text block is 8.5. Footprint is 6.5. I can't quite do the same thing on here. It's 5 3/4 footprint of text block size, which this is like my personal favorite size of text block. The maps are just standard maps, nothing to write home about, but I'm always glad for the maps because they really do help when you're explaining certain things as a teacher like I am, or a preacher. It has 2 ribbons, and these are not added by me, these are original. As you can tell, they're frayed because they're 32 years old, 1982. Considering this is a 32-year-old Bible, it's in pretty good condition. There's a little bit of scuffing on the gilding. It's not red under gold or anything like that, but it does have a gold-colored gilding on it. It does appear to be a sewn binding and not a glued, but I am not an expert on that, but I can see very faintly some lines in here, or holes in here, of where the sewing has gone into. It's just a black and gold. It doesn't have any yap. There's no fancy features like gilt line, or I don't even think there's an Oxford hollow, unless I'm just really mistaken. I don't feel anything in there, but I could be wrong. Ribbons are basic. Head and tail bands are red and yellow. The font, as I mentioned, it's got a good, nice, big font. And then the font, that's just the normal edition, which, by the way, Cambridge has its own edition, and that's called the Cambridge Popular Cross-Reference Edition, and those are really hard to find, and I think the paper is some sort of India paper because it's a thinner volume than this. I've seen pictures, and it's not an inch and a half like that. I think it's thicker, if I remember correctly. But anyway, as I was saying about the font, let me go to the same exact page, and I think you'll see, or not see, some of the similarities and differences. The bold print, I think it's there, but it's not that easy to see. Supposedly this has a bolder print than this, but I'm not really sure where. I'd have to use a magnifying glass to be able to tell the difference. They look very, very similar. And maybe I'm just not seeing it because I'm not a graphic designer. The paper in this feels good. It's a nice, easy to turn page. It feels like maybe a 32 GSM or so. It doesn't feel as thick as the ESV that I just mentioned, but it also doesn't feel as thin as the Cambridge Pitt Minion, which this has really thin paper. I don't know what the thickness is, and it also doesn't feel quite the same thinness as this. So I would guess this is 30 to 32 GSM, somewhere in there. And it also has a similarly smooth feel, but not quite as smooth as this Schuyler CSB and its whole Royal Youngblood printed line. I like this paper, but it's not my favorite paper in the world, but it is a nice paper. I bought this on my own volition, but if for some reason you like old Bibles and you like the NIV in 1984, look this one up.